knew I will score this time. So I went there believing in myself that I am prepared.
What I realized in the 700, 800 questions is they focus a lot. If you have concept clarity, you can finish a 700, 800 question in 30 seconds if you have good concept clarity.
How was your exam experience? Were you stressed? Were you really, really nervous? Or were you comfortable this time? Like, because once having had a bad experience with online administration, I think some
Yes.
memories do haunt you. So, was this a smooth experience, first of all? In terms of nerves and anxiety and concentration, just generally tell me.
So I'll be honest here to each and every student. Stay calm. The way, the mindset which you go giving the paper actually matters a lot. Then I gave my GMAT with a fresh mindset, but much more confident because of my marks which I have been giving on
Right,
top 1%.
right, right.
And
So this
that in
time,
the
what was
paper.
your mindset and experience? Were you nervous? Were you completely fine this time? Just tell me. That is what I want to.
Yes, so so I was much more confident. I knew I've been preparing. I knew that I can do it. I
Right,
have
right.
prepared a lot,
Mhm.
dedicatedly worked hard. So I knew I will score this time. So instead of
Right.
thinking more towards the number, I went there believing in myself that I am prepared and I'll give the paper.
All right.
So
So, Pranjal, one thing, did you find anything unusual in the exam? The question type or, whatever you had seen in quant or verbal, anything unusual? Let me know.
no, no, sir. So yes, this is a very important point. By practicing continuously on mocks from top 1%, I genuinely felt that when I was giving the paper offline, all the things were I've seen one or the other way in the another form. There
Right,
was nothing unusual. So
right, right.
that actually helped me out during the paper.
Give the exam structure. Did you do quant first, then verbal? Within verbal, did you see more of RC, longer RC, shorter RC? What kind of
Yes.
CR and SC questions were there? Just give me.
Yes, so I started with the quant first.
Mhm.
I knew my quant was the strength, which actually gave me the confidence. So I always started with quant first. Then in verbal, I could actually see RCs transitioning. So my first RC was bit simple.
Mhm.
Then with the next RC, I could clearly see that it was a very long passage. But
Mhm.
I used to practice long passages on LSET, so I
Mhm.
knew I was there. And my all the other three RCs were very, very long passages compared to the
Mhm.
normal which we see on OG.
Right, right.
So
Obviously, when you do better and consistently, so this happens.
I gave 2 attempts in total. One I gave in the start of July, and one I gave in the end of July, because I had work also in between, so I couldn't really give it back to back. So I would say that my prep was more or less even in both. I focused on SC more in my second attempt. However, one thing I want to mention is the nerves which get you. I think the difference in my score. So first time I got 730, the second time I got 750. Um, the difference I would say is purely nerves. I think the first 15 to 20 minutes of my exam, which I started with verbal, 15 to 20 minutes I wasn't at optimal rate, and I think that's where I lagged in my attempt, and my verbal score was down for that reason. My first attempt, in my second attempt was much more comfortable and understandable of what the situation was. So I would say that is something you can try to simulate. I tried to simulate a lot with top 1% mocks also before my first attempt. However, that is something which came over me in my first attempt. So just don't go in with a nervous mindset. What happens, happens. Essentially it's a 2 hour long exam. So for those 2 hours, if I second time I was just able to focus in, zero in on what I had to do, and timing and all wasn't an issue. I had 10 minutes left in my verbal attempt in the second time, and uh, and that I attributed essentially to the top 1% mocks. That I think is a very key factor which everyone should give. I gave around 15 mocks for verbal, 15 mocks for quant, so that I didn't have a problem with. So just to, yeah, so that was my experience with top 1%. Yeah.
All right. Another thing, was there anything unusual apart from the anxiety that you had first time? Any unusual content on the exam that, though this time a question I've never seen or something like that?
Absolutely not. And I was a bit worried about conditional reasoning because that was a newer part, and you had also taken classes for the same. I didn't experience. I think there was one question across two GMAT attempts which I for conditional reasoning. There wasn't a lot of conditional reasoning, and in terms of content, it was fairly straightforward and
Right.
nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. So, Aram, now you on the other side, what are the mistakes people can avoid and what are the things that they must do? What would you say? Let's say 2 or 3 things you should do or shouldn't do. I generally ask because this could be more like a summary for anybody new trying to prepare. So think about it and let me know, please.
Okay.
Should I
Things
ask the
to
question
do.
again? Okay, to do.
No,
Okay.
I understand. I understand. So,
Yeah.
with regards to what you should do, it is
Mhm.
more with regards to don't try to eat from too many plates because I've seen I had a couple of friends who were also studying for GMAT, and I think they try to pick up content from a lot of different sites, a lot of different tutors, and that just doesn't work for them. So, if you're studying from say top 1% or wherever you're studying from, if you're studying from top 1%, just put your faith in them, and I put my faith in them, and I think I got rewarded. Secondly, is time practice. None of the practice which I did once I finished the course was without a timer. Everything was, if I was doing 6 questions for RC, that was 40 minutes, and and so on and so forth. So everything should be timed. And thirdly, would be just focus on the difficult questions essentially. So don't start from the easy, medium, and hard. I focused just on the hard, and then that made me realize what the lackings in my concepts were. Because what I realized in the 700, 800 questions is they focus a lot. If you have concept clarity, you can finish a 700, 800 question in 30 seconds if you have good concept clarity. So it doesn't
Right.
require a lot of hard work. So those are the do's. The don'ts are the don'ts would be to say try to be consistent. I think I stretched my GMAT by about a month, like my 750 score by about a month because I wasn't very consistent. Maybe that must be work. I wasn't very consistent. I didn't want to come back home and then study for another 3 hours. So that was a lacking on my end, and a lot of people focus on that in their experiences also. So being consistent, if you're able to do that, I think you can get this done quite quickly because the methods which are there in place with respect to Octave or respect to the rules in SC, if you just be consistent with them, they just become part and parcel of when you're giving your exam and your questions.
How was your exam experience? Did you see anything unusual? You've already told though in this interview, but still, just wanted to know, like, apart from the anxiety and nerves in the initial quant bit, was there anything unusual according to you that this is just unexpected or not seen before?
Apart from those three US history passages, I think nothing was unexpected question-wise. Yeah, I think every question that had come, if not exactly the same, I had solved similar concepts of it from the 700 to 800 book. Otherwise, from your live classes or the intensive batch live classes. So
Right.
nothing was really out of place here.
And what was this anxiety thing? What happened exactly?
So this time I booked the exam pretty early, and absolutely nobody knew about it till after the exam. But yeah, it was again, it was a lot of money for me at least because I paid out of my pocket. So it was pretty nerve-wracking. It was pretty. Plus, I have only 10 days for my ISB admit.
So my question is, what was the nerves thing about? Like when the math section it happened, what was it like in this attempt?
I mean, it wasn't about the math session. It was just about the exam itself. So in the beginning, it was about the exam. So first 10 questions I tried to sail through because I think that's one of the most important in getting the first 10 questions correct.
Right.
So when I started to struggle a little bit in the first, maybe third or fourth question, and I started to lose a little time, it started to get to me a little, but I decided to sail through.
Eventually, it worked out fine. Yeah. The pacing also worked out fine. You said pacing hasn't been a problem for you as well.
Yeah, pacing was the problem in the beginning, but all my 700, 800 practice was timed. So in that way, it started to work out.